Oh my gosh. So these are three things that I would absolutely not do in Bali. Literally have them written down there. That important. And not only would I not do these things, but I wouldn't do these even if I came back there again, no matter what year you're watching this video. The number one thing I'd say is and this is a big, number one is huge, number three is important too. But number one is never disrespect the culture. Now there's two parts to that. Number one, I don't think you should disrespect the culture no matter where you go, no matter what country you're in. Disrespecting the culture is one of the quickest ways, I believe, to not be accepted into the culture. But in Asia, they take it really serious. Not only in Indonesia, but also in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Singapore, Malaysia, all these places, they take it like serious. But Bali more so than anywhere else that I've ever heard of. And because disrespecting the culture can get you put in jail, it can get you deported from the island. And I lived in Bali from March 2020 until July 2021. So in that a little bit over a year and a half, I saw at least 15 people at least get deported. And most of the time for disrespecting the culture. And that's the real big deal. It's not that people don't do it and they kind of do it and don't know it. But when you, number one, it's kind of two parts to it. When you disrespect the culture, and number two, you talk about it or share it on social media. When those two go together, that creates a storm more than that's about to happen here in a few minutes. Because they take it really seriously. Posting something to just get views will also get you deported from the island. And I've seen it go down in harsh ways where people will never be allowed back on that island. I can think of some names right now that people know like this from the island. So I would definitely not do that. That's number one. Social media also, as a side note, is very big there, meaning you might not feel like you have a lot of followers and nobody's watching, but trust me, it just takes one person to see it who has a little bit of authority, or one person to see it and share it, and then who sees it, they start to share. And I've seen videos take off on all different platforms, and people, whether they were rich, big followers, small followers, it's not one of those places where it's like any publicity is good publicity. There, they take it very serious, because I believe, and I want to believe this, even though I've seen it starting to change, the traditions and the cultures of Bali is more important than a few dollars from tourism, and more important than any one tourist will ever be, no matter how many followers there are. It doesn't even matter if it's me who loves the island. If I were to share something that was disrespectful, you would see it everywhere, and you would almost be disliked by everyone. That's the one thing I'd say. Number two is huge, and I don't want to even, it's about to storm like crazy here. I don't even want to get anyone in trouble for saying this, but I want to give this as a warning, is if you don't have the right visa to work while you are there, be careful. That's all I can say. I don't even want to say the number of people who I know who didn't have a correct visa. They didn't have I forgot what the visas are now. If you have a Kitas one, you can work there. If you have a B211 social visa, I don't think you can. I got it mistaken. I haven't looked at those visas in a while. But make sure that you stick to the rules, you know. And number one, where I've seen people get in trouble, it wasn't that they were just working. That they were working online with the wrong visa, but they were promoting something. So they had a promotion like, hey, get my book for $4.99 or $6.99, and that is looked at in the eyes of the people there as you're working, even if no one buys it, because you're not allowed to work there. So it's just something to keep in mind. Like I say, I mean, I'd say 95, if I had to guess, percentage of people who are doing it and they don't have the right visa for it. Is just to be careful, because sometimes I saw a lot of crazy things, and I heard a lot of stories. The one story that comes to my mind was one of the, I'm not gonna say the name of it, but one of the co-working spaces got raided. So it means everyone goes into co-work, and they walked into there undercover, and they looked that people were working, and they asked to see what kind of visa you were on. And if you had the wrong visa, a bunch of people got in trouble. I don't believe they got deported from it. I just believe they got a big hefty fine. Like I say, or I haven't said it yet, but I've said in the past, when it comes to Asia and a lot in Latin Americas, it's going to cost you money to be able to do it. Everything's possible, anything's possible. It's just going to cost you money. And if you make a mistake like that, it's going to cost you some money. Disrespecting the culture is the only thing that money can't get you out of. So just keep that in mind. Number one, disrespecting the culture, and number two, working on the wrong visa and promoting things. That's probably the number one. That's the number one reason people got deported. I remember I lived in Ubud for probably like a 6-month period or a 5-month period or something like that. And I lived there a few times actually in a bunch of different places. But I remember so many yoga teachers, so many painters, so many people who do breath work, all people who are doing just little things inside their own little like tourist community, but they got caught and they got in trouble because it was looked at as disrespectful. And sadly, as much as I would say you should always be with people that you can trust in your villas and rent it from people you can trust and are friends with. The people told, like, hey, the people I'm renting from have 9 people here and I think they've paid to be here. So keep that in mind. I guess let's go straight to number 3. I have a bonus one in here. Number 3, it's crazy and just about everyone, everyone does it. And it's a combination of both. But like, just be careful of drinking and driving. I know it's so like taboo and it's like, of course not. But you'll be surprised how many people do it like extreme. And I've been there and I've seen some crazy things. I've been a part of some crazy things. I've ridden down the road on a Friday night, leaving Old Man's, which rest in peace, Old Man's. I don't think that bar is there anymore. And I've seen someone just passed out on the side of the road because they got into an accident. Like literally, like maybe you can do it if everything was fine and no one was out there, but you got to remember, hope the wind's not too much. You got to remember in Bali, in the nighttime, the people who run the street are the dogs. And there's dogs who just run out in front of you. And I've seen people who have been drinking and they just swerve and they fall and they go bad. And it's a bad fall. You can see it maybe if you go to Bali or if you're there now, you'll know someone. Everyone knows someone who this happened to. But I was even there when someone was riding. We had left. I forgot the name of the place. It's on the shortcut where everyone does the skateboarding. I can't remember the name of it. But everyone was there and everyone left. People were drinking. And one of my friends, best friends, was drinking, accidentally drove off the side, hit his head in the rice field on the hard mud, and drowned. And this is just something that I've heard of. I've seen the wrecks, and at the same time, when you don't wear a helmet as well, I know when you go around and you ride around Canggu or Seminyak or Kuta, everyone else will show off their beautiful face and tan and everything. But I just say from my perspective, and I'm a pretty big motorcycle. I mean, one of my motorcycles is right here. It's just like, if you can, wear a helmet, please. It sounds so crazy, but I have a friend who's really good friends with drivers who do the Gojek driving, and they told me so many stories. Like one of them, they reshared a story from their Gojek driver, and literally their Gojek driver said, oh my gosh, these tourists are crazy. And it was crazy because it was a picture of a tourist whose brains were splattered all on the ground. It sounds disgusting, I know, but that's the reality. They fell off. Like, if you don't believe me, if you're in Bali right now, take this. It'll cost you 20,000 rupiah to do this experiment. Buy a coconut, ride at around 40 or 50 kilometers an hour, and drop the coconut on the ground and go back and look and see what happens to it. It's pretty crazy. And I've seen so many in my time there. I saw at least 10 accidents. At least. Not even drunk, just because someone else is drunk or someone else does something crazy, because the drivers you actually have to look out for when you live in Bali are the tourists. The locals are perfectly fine. They've been driving scooters since they were 4 years old. If you look at some of the kids, they're like 10. Go to Nusa Penida. It's all kids that drive there, carrying big water jugs and coconuts and groceries. That's what I would say is super important. And the last and final thing, the thing that I would never do in Bali, and I did it there, and I would never do it again, is, not knowingly, is to forget that time is moving outside. You know, and when I say that, I mean, if you're in Bali, if you've been to Bali or you're living there now, or you want to go, then you most likely, or if you want to go, you might not know this, but time is moving like outside of Bali. In Bali, Bali is like a vortex. You need to understand. There, time stands still. Everything is just really like cyclical there. And because the weather doesn't fluctuate so much, and it does on depending on different parts of the island, you kind of get lost and you forget that time outside Bali is moving. You're getting older. You know, I went to Bali it felt like 22. I was 22 years old and I got to Bali, and then before I knew it, I'm leaving there and I'm 35. And it was just like, whoa. And I can see if I would have stayed there 10 more years, it would have just went like this. Like, I was there for 19 months and it literally felt like nothing. And it's one of those places, because it's a vortex, you're meant to go there, work, learn, figure out what it is that you need to work on, get around the people who can help you do it. And then your expiration date, if you watched the last video. But it's something that I see, and I saw a lot of people who I talked to, and they just refused to leave the island. They were at every model event. They were at every party. They were at Savoya, every single, or I think it's called Savoya, which is interesting because it means onion. In Uluwatu, they're there every time. They got the VIP table every time, and it is great. But then you realize, like, wait, I'm not getting any younger. But you don't realize that until you leave the island. It's a crazy phenomenon. Ask anyone who's ever lived there. If you've lived there, let me know what you think about it. But time just, there's something that happens with time, and I don't know how to explain it. So remember that time is moving, and do something that the you who's gonna leave Bali will have something to show for it. Like, have something to show for your time there. Change something in your mind, your mindset, your body, gather connections, see where you've missed out, see where you can add more value, see how other people have made it in industries and areas that you have wanted to excel in but haven't been able to. Pick the brains of other people. But don't forget that time is moving on outside of the island. In Bali, it doesn't move, and it's something I don't know how to explain it. If you go there, you'll know it, and if you visit there and you've stayed for 30 days, you realize that 30 days literally went in like a day. It's crazy how that works. But those are things I would never do in Bali. And like I say, I lived there for like 19 months, 18 months. And there's something that I would try to remind myself of. But this is the video that I wish that I saw while I was there, to kind of maybe snap me out of the routine that I had of the waking up in the morning, doing my meditation, going to the beach, having my coffee, going to Body Factory, having my coconut fruit bowl, saying hello to my friends, going and working, filming a video, going back to Body Factory, maybe shooting a little bit of basketball, hanging out with some friends, and then going to sleep and waking up and repeating that, and seeing how that can just go on and on and on. Because what you love is great. Just don't forget, when you leave the island, time will have not stopped for those of us out here. So that's what I'd say. Hope this video helped you out. If you have any questions, any suggestions, any things that you guys think that you should never do in Bali, please leave me a comment. It helps other people. It helps me. Your questions help me. Your comments help other people. And no matter what question you have, there's a bunch of other people that have that same question. And I guarantee you, I've heard it a bunch of times, and I just need to be reminded. So hope the wind wasn't too much. It looks like it's going to rain, so I'm going to get out of here. But those are 3 things that I would never do in Bali. Take care. If you're in Bali, enjoy. Selamat pagi. Bakabar. Bachik. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.